everyone, this is Misty Mercado with Social Connects. Thank you for joining us again. Today we have the fabulous Neen James with us, back for another conversation in our Time Accountability series. And so Miss Neen is our Australian leadership author, productivity expert, and just overall fabulous woman. And she's going to talk to us today specifically about accountability and time accountability. How can we start owning our time and being responsible for it? Neen, thanks for joining us today.
What a privilege. G'day, everyone. It's really neat to build on the series that we've started about how do you fold time? How do you achieve twice as much in half the amount of time?
Well, so Neen, in our last interview, we had talked about how people have a never-ending to-do list and constantly complain that there's not enough time in the day to just get everything done.
Wow.
So today, I was hoping that we could dive a little bit deeper into that topic and maybe talk about how we can personally be more accountable for the time that we have in our day. So I guess my first question for you would be is, why in general are people so afraid to say no when others ask us for a slice of our time? And no seems to be one of your key words, key phrases,
Right.
in and of itself.
Yeah.
So why are we so afraid to say it? Why are we so afraid to use it?
Well, I believe that no is a complete sentence. So you have to think about no as a productive way of doing something. The reason people are scared of saying no is because often we've been raised a certain way where no is not seen as a ladylike response to something or not gentlemanly to say no. It can also be because we want to please everybody and we're scared that if we say no, we'll disappoint someone. So that's another reason. But the other thing that I believe happens in business especially is we don't say no because we want to be perceived as a team player. So it's often how we've been brought up. We don't want to disappoint, and because we want to be seen as a team player. That's why we're so scared of saying no.
Well, so then what do we do to build up the courage to say it? Because with all of those social culture aspects that you just brought up, we have to learn how to get over that fear. So what do you suggest we do to build up the courage and just say, I just don't have the time?
The reason you have to say no is you need to allow for the things that you want to say yes to. Every time you say yes, you're saying no to something that you might really want to do. So we've got to say yes to the energizers and no to the things that drain us. So what I recommend you do is to truly get your head around this idea that no is a complete sentence, meaning you don't need to give me any more information. One of the things you've got to do is keep your answers short. When you say no to someone, don't go on some long-winded explanation about why you can't do something. Just simply say no nicely. I think what happens is when we say no, we feel a need to just keep talking, and that's not helpful. So what you want to think about is to build up that courage, keep your answers short, and think when someone says, can you attend this holiday party, you say, thank you so much for thinking of me. I have another commitment. Have a great time. That's it. Just, I have another commitment. Have a great time. Don't explain to me why you're not going to be there. Just say, I have another commitment. Right? So to build up the courage, you've got to know why you're saying no. I'm saying no because I want to spend more time with other people, maybe not that particular holiday commitment, maybe not that particular meeting. So you've got to understand why you're saying no, and that gives you the courage. See, I think what happens is we gift our time to so many people, and then we get a little resentful because we're not doing what we love. Remember, you don't have time to do everything. You only have time to do what matters. So you've truly got to understand what matters to you. And when you get clear on what matters, it's much easier to say no.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with my mom about this. The holidays are always a very, very stressful time of year for her. She's on so many committees, and she volunteers to help so many friends and families and the church and, you know, other people to help them decorate for the holidays, help them get prepared for the holidays. And she finds herself, the first few years she was volunteering to help so that those individuals could have time to go spend with their loved ones.
Right.
But as the years have gone by, what's happened now is that there's an expectation of her to do it. Mm-hmm. So everyone comes to her and says, you know, hey, Denise, are you going to be here to do it this year? Can I lean on you to do it? And it's, you bring up resentment, and that's really what's kind of started happening. Mm-hmm. Is that now where she previously volunteered, now there's a level of expectation.
Right.
So in those situations, how could my mom or other people that are in the same boat learn how to bow out gracefully?
So I think there's a couple ways you can do it. When I moved from Sydney, Australia to Doylestown, Pennsylvania, you can imagine if you're watching this, it's quite the culture shock. But in my neighborhood in the holidays, and you might be watching this after the holidays, but for those of you who are alive today, they do this beautiful thing in my neighborhood where they have luminaries. And luminaries are beautiful little white paper bags that have a candle in them, and every street is lined with luminaries. It happens on Christmas Eve, and it's quite spectacular. And so when I first moved here, I volunteered to be the luminary lady for my street. Now, what that actually means is I collect orders, I package everything up, and then I deliver it to every house on my street. And it was great the first year. It was okay the second year. 10 years as the luminary lady, I decided that I had been paying people to do the luminaries for me. And so what I decided this year was that I was gracefully going to retire as the luminary lady. But here's what I did first. I found a replacement. So sometimes in Denise's case and in our own case, we may need to think a little bit more about it and think who would be a good person for this. So what I did was when I reached out to the organizer, I said, I'm retiring as the luminary lady, but I've already invited my next door neighbor to be the replacement for me. So number one, understand the commitment. And then number two, know your own capacity. What do you love doing and what do you not? But there could be someone else who would love to do what Denise is doing, but they didn't even know it was needed. So I would suggest that sometimes before you say no, you may want to find someone who you can recommend or suggest for the project, for the meeting, for that holiday event. But what we want to do is we want to stop the resentment. We need the ability to articulate what we have the ability to do and what we don't. One of my favorite phrases is, I'm at capacity. Now, I don't do this, but that's what it means. If I go, I'm at capacity, it means sometimes I feel like I'm up to here. But if you just say to someone, I would love to help you with that, but I'm at capacity right now, it's a simple way of saying I can't put anything else on my plate. But here's the thing. Everyone has a full plate. Everybody's busy. Yeah. And when we're in a holiday season, that just gets accelerated. So I think what you want to do is understand what you're committing to, know your own capacity, articulate a time frame, and determine a replacement.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I have found in my own life, as well as so many of my friends, it is so easy to tell the people we love the most, the people who we want to spend our time with, they have to wait, and no to them. And there's a peer that I have on the team that she and I were just talking yesterday about it, and we find ourselves saying no to our kids all the time, and no to our husbands, and no to our friends. No, I don't have time to meet you for drinks. No, I don't have time to go out to dinner. No, I don't have time to take you to the park. But we keep saying yes to the people that we really don't want to be committed to.
Often when I speak, you know, one of the things that I'm known for in my keynote presentations around the world is one of the things you've heard me say many times in this series as well, is you don't have time to do everything. You only have time to do what matters. And I ask every audience, no matter where I am on this planet, I always say to them, what's the one thing that truly matters? And as you know, most people say what? Family.
Family.
And then I say to them, if that's true, Why does the family get the leftovers? I think our family, we assume, are always going to be there. And so what we do is we give them what's left over. We come home from work tired and grumpy. We're on our cell phones. We're checking our email. And these are the people that we work so hard to support. We work crazy hours to support the people that we love and adore. And yet we haven't made ourselves accountable to them. A couple of ways you can be more accountable to your own family and so that you can have more time with them is to have regular times throughout the week that you connect. So my husband and I, for example, on a Sunday night, we compare calendars and we say, where are you going to be? Where are you traveling to? And then we build in time for dates. So you need to be accountable for the time that you do want to invest. Sometimes it requires a bit of planning, but an important date with my husband is as important as a client meeting. I just think that we make an assumption that these people are always going to be here and we take them for granted, and that's not what it's about. It's truly about understanding you have a limited amount of time. You have 1,440 minutes in a day. You want to focus on what really matters to you and the people you care about.
And it's so true. Talking about a habit that you have to consciously break. And when I think of time accountability, that's what I think of. It's not just a matter of saying, where do I want to spend my time and who deserves my time, but how do I undo the habits that I have built up by saying yes to the wrong things and no to the right things, and stopping that habit. Do you have any recommendations for your listeners for how they can be more consciously aware of who they're saying no to and when?
Yeah, start really small. So if someone, and it could be like, listen to yourself say no. So someone offers you a second helping of food, you can say no thank you and hear yourself say it out loud, because you don't really need the second helping. You're doing it because you want to feel polite. Well, sometimes you want the second helping, but it doesn't mean you So start really small. Say no to little things. And then think and hear yourself say it. So you've got to get really used to that and understand that you're not going to be rejected because you say no, right? The next thing is this, is when you get invited to a meeting and the meeting starts, it goes a little late, when the meeting's due to finish at 5 o'clock, stand up and say, I have another commitment, thank you for this great meeting. You've got to get used to being accountable and owning your own time. If someone says to you, can you meet at 5:30 on Friday night, and you know you have a commitment and you want to honor that commitment with your child or with your partner, you can say, I would love to meet you, however, I have another commitment. Can we meet first thing on Monday morning? What you want to do is say no and provide an alternative. So start small. Start with those little decisions. And then you'll build up the courage to say no to the bigger things as well. And that does take courage, I agree with you, but hear yourself say no and be okay with it. Say no and stop talking. Keep your answers short.
I need to like tattoo that on my hand. Stop talking. Neen, we are coming to the end of our session, so there is one question that I want to put out there that has come from our listeners before we end. So, and it's very interesting. We were just talking about this before the broadcast too. It says, I am exhausted when I'm not spending time running around at work. I'm running me and my kids all over to various activities that we are involved in. I feel like it's too much, but I can't seem to justify the need to slow down. So what do you recommend?
I think you've got to slow down to speed up. What we need to do is we need to pause in order to take an evaluation of what's really going on around us. So what I would recommend that you do is, if you're feeling exhausted, is give yourself the gift of 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, decide what is the most important top 3 things and work on those first. So you've got to slow down to speed up. For us to have the energy we need to bring every day to serve the people we care the most about, professionally and personally and in our community, that means we need to slow down first. Many people are exhausted. Some of us, especially during the holiday times, what happens is we are running on fumes. For many people, it's been a very busy year. I would encourage you to give yourself the gift of 15 minutes. Stop, evaluate, reset, and then decide what's most important, and then just set free the things that are not serving you. You need to set free the things and stop feeling guilty about those things.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful, and I'd have to add too. We certainly don't want to instill those same bad habits or lack of prioritization with our time into our kids or our family or our loved ones. Like let's not let our decisions transcend into the lives of others and then make it their decisions or their obligations later on.
If there's a phrase I would love our listeners to stop saying to little people is I don't have time. Because that, in fact, is actually a lie. Because we all have time. As I said earlier, we all have 1,440 minutes of time in a day. So I would encourage you not to say to a little person in your life, I don't have time, because you do. It's just what you choose to spend your time on that has the impact. So what you might want to say is, right now, Mummy's busy. However, Mummy would love to play with you. Just give me 10 minutes to finish this off. And then show them what that means on a clock. And then in 10 minutes, honor the commitment that you made to them and be accountable to them for the time that you commit.
So, Neen, there are plenty of one-way flights from your location to mine. Do you think I can fly you out here? I need you in my house. Well, Neen, thank you so much. And as always, your answers are so enlightening and are so fabulous. And they give us so much direction that we need to just simplify our lives, simplify our choices and our decisions. And you know, before we go, though, I did want to ask you if you might be willing to tell us a little bit about what you have coming up in January that's going to be special to you and to your business.
I am so excited about Amaze TV. We've been asked for many, many years to do something that is specifically just around this whole thing I talk about how do you be amazing. I love the word so much, I have it tattooed on my wrist. This is my reminder. But I believe in being amazing, meaning I want you to be in awe every day, to go, that's amazing. This TV series is going to be based on how you can be more amazing in your professional life, in your personal life, and in your community. And in less than 15 minutes a week, we're going to give you strategies you can apply immediately. From time to time, we're going to be also visiting with guests that I think are amazing, people who are doing amazing things in the world. You see, I want you to be more amazing so you can create more moments that matter. And that's what it's all about. I'm also excited that it's also going to have a new podcast called Amazecast, which is also going to be part of the series. So keep an eye out for that. Amaze TV in 2015 coming your way. You can go to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you'll be the first people to know about it.
Absolutely. Good. That's so great to hear. Well, congratulations on that. And we can't wait to see what you have coming up in January with all of the tips and techniques and recommendations you'd have for all of us as well. And so, Neen, thank you again so much for your time and for your fabulous energy. You are always such a breath of fresh air. It's always so great to get to talk to you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
And happy holidays to everyone who's watching as well. And if you're watching this afterwards, happy whatever you're celebrating at that moment in time.
There's always something to celebrate. Thanks, Neen.
Absolutely. Bye, honey.
Bye.